What's up, YouTube? So, in this episode, I'm gonna be continuing from where I stopped in the last one. After refactoring all the storyboards, I'm gonna look at how I want to make the text fields go up or slide up once a user wants to enter, like the email address or wants to create, an account. All right. So the reason why we're doing this is to, make sure that the user experience is not hampered or affected. So we don't want the buttons to be obstructed by the keyboard once they slide up, and that's why we're doing this. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and if you want to leave a comment to tell me how I can do this better, I'm willing to learn from you. Make sure you leave that comment in the comment section, and don't forget to stay subscribed and give this a like if you want to see more videos about this app coming out. All right, so let's just go straight into it. All right, so what we're gonna do next is just start building this thing. So what we're gonna do is, there are different ways to do this. There are different ways to make this text field slide up. Well, I'm just gonna use the basic approach that I understand for now. With time, when I get more knowledge, I'm gonna maybe put some animations the way make it badass. It's like make it really nice. But right now, I'm just gonna go with the simplest solution that I know of. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the constraint, and we're going to try to animate the constraint or try to reduce the values of the constraint. And once we do this, it's going to kind of like increase or reduce. And once it's doing that, it's going to cause the child views that anchored to it to like move. So let me not talk too much theory. Let me just go straight into what I want to do. So enough of the theory, let's go straight into building things. So right here in my objects library, I'm going to grab a UI view, and I'm going to put it I'm going to start with the login, right? I'm going to put it right here first of all, and I'm going to try and make it like this so it covers all this other views like that. Make sure I leave some space like that, and just to see my UI view and make sure that it's not like in the wrong place. So I'm just gonna go to the background, and I'm gonna make it darker like that. No, that's too dark. Probably gonna select a lighter shade of gray. Yeah, magnesium is okay. So now what I want to do is I want to move this UI view to the back. I want all these labels and buttons to be at the back of, so I want the UI view to be at the back, all the way at the back. I want the UI view to be all the way at the back, and I want the buttons to be like that, the labels to be like that, on top of the, or in front of the UI view. So right now the UI view is in the front of all these labels and buttons. That's why you can't see anything right now. So I want to move it. I want to take it from the front and move it to the back so that you have it behind all these good things right here. All right, so this guy, I'm gonna like take him all the way like this and drop him at the back. And so now everything is at the back, and I want to make all these things, I want to make it inside the UI view. I want to make them the child of the UI view. Right now the UI view is just at the back of all these other things, so I want them to be inside the UI view. So like the way we did this storyboards, like you can see all these things, like you can use the indentation, like this space right here, to tell you that all these files are inside this group. So whenever you see this like thing like that, I don't know what it's called, but this arrow shows you that there's something that's inside it. So for instance, you can see this view right here. This view has all these things inside it, right? So that's why it has this stuff, this arrow stuff showing that can be expanded or reduced. So what is this view? Let me just give it a color so you can say that. Let me just give it this color. So you can see that that view has all these things inside it. All these things are the like the child views, and this one is like the parent views. It's like having a box and putting all your stuff inside the box, something like that. So I want this view to have all these things, to contain all these things. Let me just put it back to white color. And so this view, I want everything right here to be inside this view. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to make sure that this view is like long enough, like that. And I'm going to make sure everything is aligned properly inside it, like that, So, all right, so everything is aligned properly. So now I want to make everything go inside this gray UI view. So this is what I'm saying, right? Select this guy, or you know what? Just select this login button, and then hit hold Command, so you can select all the other stuff like that. And then I'm gonna drag it like this. See, the blue line shows that it's gonna go inside like that. So now I have successfully placed everything inside the inside this view. So I'm just gonna rearrange everything, take everything to the front or take it down, just take this button all the way down. It's supposed to be a button, but it's a label right now, but we can change that later. And this login button is going to be somewhere around here, and this login label is going to be okay, that's the text, that's the field. So just move this one all the way up like that. Okay, that's the second one. So now I can get to the other label, and I'm just gonna try and move everything the way it should be. So the text field comes first, the email text field, and then the password text field. So just gonna align it like this. Probably gonna eyeball it. Right now I'm not gonna worry too much about the details, because I have most of the details in place. All right, so just gonna bring it down a little bit like that. And all right, so now I have everything inside. Everything is inside this UI view like this, like, because you can see like that, right? So the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start applying auto layouts to everything. Okay, so I'm gonna say right now real quick, I'm not a fan of auto layout. I'm still struggling with auto layout a little bit, but I think I get it. Like, the basics of auto layout is like you have to tell it where the X is and where the Y is, and you have to give it some idea about what its width is going to be and what its height is going to be. So it needs to know those 4 things about a single view. So if you can use your constraint and in some way align it and allow the Xcode to figure out the rest. So if you tell it, okay, it's gonna start from here to here in terms of the width. So it knows that if those things are shrinking, it's gonna like calculate the width by itself and figure the rest out. So maybe that's why it's called auto layout. So it guesses the rest by itself by the few information you provide to it. All right, so that's not like perfect definition, but just to give you an idea of how I understand the auto layout right now and how it works. So you're just going to give it some values so that it knows where the X position is and where the Y position is, and what the weight is going to be and what the height is going to be, in relation to the views that are around it or the views that are at the back of it, which is like the super view. All right, so too much theory. All right, so let's just build some stuff and stop talking too much. Okay, so select the gray view, And what you're gonna do is you're gonna come down to this inspector right here, because you want to add constraint, and I'm going to select the top. You can see right now it's saying 16 right here, so I'm going to make sure it's also 16 right here. So the right is going to be 16, left is going to be 16, and the bottom is going to be 91 or whatever you have. Just make sure that this left and right is 16, and I'm going to add that 4 like that. So I have that blue line, so it's looking good. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start adding constraints to this remaining child view, this label and stuff. So I'm going to select this one, this button, and I'm going to make sure it's aligned to the gray view like that. I'm going to make sure it's aligned properly like that. So it's like 0 the top, 0 left, and 0 right, leading and trailing, and then the top. So select this right here. So you have 0 top, 0 left, 0 right. That's what I'm saying. And then we're going to add this height like this, and then add those 4 constraints. Then we select this label, and then we're going to control and then drag like that and release. And we want to give it the vertical spacing, but it seems like right now there is no space between this one and this one. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit like that, so that we have a little bit of spacing in between it. And I'm going to stretch it all the way out like that, and stretch it all the way out like this to the left, and then control, point it to the login, and then we're going to say vertical spacing. And then we're going to select to add more constraints. We're going to select the leading and the trailing like that, and we're going to select the height to be 24, and we're going to add those 3 constraints like that. Next, we're going to select the email text field, and I will just quickly select this to make sure I have zeros at the left and right. So that means it's not like going to or going away from the gray view. So I'm going to make sure it's at the same margin with the parent view, which is like this gray UI view. So first thing I'm going to do, I want to set the vertical spacing from here to here, right? So what I did to this label right here, so this is what I'm saying. Select this one, control, drag to this place like that, release, and select vertical spacing, and then go to the constraint stuff like that, then select the leading and trailing, and now the height is saying 47.5, just gonna make it 47 like that, and then add those 3 constraints. I'm going to do the same thing for the password text field. Control, select that, point it to the email text field, vertical spacing, and I'm going to add the remaining ones, left, right, and the height. Make sure it's going to be 47. Now make sure you don't have constraint to margin selected. Make sure you don't have constraint to margin. So now I'm going to add these 3 constraints. I'm going to do the same thing for the button. Control, drag, point it to the password text field, select vertical spacing, and I'm going to add more constraint to it, the leading, the trailing, and make sure the height is 47, and add that. Now for this label right here, I'm going to do the same thing, vertical spacing, and I'm going to select the leading, the trailing, and I'm just going to make sure the height is 23 like that. That's all. So now I've added all the auto layouts, and I think we'll be good from here. I'm not like a super auto layout fan right now because the auto layout is somehow difficult sometimes. It doesn't act the way you want, and I guess that's why people do it programmatically, but it's all a learning process for me, and I'm trying to figure out how this thing works. All right, so this is what's going to happen, right? To have this constraint at the top and at the bottom. Let me set up this thing very well. All right, so we have this constraint at the top and at the bottom. So think about this constraint like a rubber band or an elastic band or a sling or something that is like a rope that is very elastic. So this constraint has an ability to be stretched or shrink. So how can this happen? By reducing the constant. So if you increase the constant, it's gonna shrink, and if you increase the constant, it's gonna expand. I'm not sure about shrinking, growing and reducing, but this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. Select this gray view. Make sure because if you select this label, it's just gonna show the label. But if you select this button, it's gonna. So I'm just gonna click right here so that I select the view, or you can select the view right here, and then you can see the constraints. These are the constraints. This one here, this top, this trailing, and this leading, and this bottom right here. So what I want to do is I want to somehow change the values of this top constraint. And if I change the values, it's going to cause the view to go up or to go down. Now remember, the buttons and labels are all kind of like constrained to the view. So they are kind of like attached or sticked to the view. So if anything happens to that view in terms of the movement, it's going to cause the other ones to move. So this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying again. Select this UI view, then select this top constraint, and in this attribute inspector, it's going to show you, like the details about the constraint, the top view, the equal relation. So in this place where you have the constant, we have 85 right now. Let's see what happens if I reduce it to maybe say 60. So if I reduce it to 60, you can see what happens. It went up. So it shrunk, or it shrinks. So if I increase it back to 85 like that, it grows. So if I can find a way to manipulate that constraint, then if the user wants to enter the the email and the password, I can just increase the value of that constraint constant or reduce it. So doing that will kind of animate it to slide up and slide down. So what I want to do now is connect this constraint to the file of this view controller, which is the login view controller. So this is what I'm saying, right? Select this login view controller. Make sure that you have the class here assigned to it, login view controller. Now we're going to bring out this pane, this assistant editor like this. Select that assistant editor, and we want to go to select the folder right here, recipes, and select favorite recipe like that, and then go to the main and go to login. Select login view controller. So now we want to connect this top constraint. Where was that constraint again? Just select the view like that, and then it's going to show you the top constraint. So we want to connect this one, this top constraint. So what we're going to do is select it like that, and control drag and go to the folder. Make sure you put it somewhere like that, and you're going to say the name is top constraint, and hit connect. All right. So now you've connected the constraint. So what we want to do, we want to try and change the values of this constraint. All right. So we're going to put it back to this storyboard, and I'm going to go to the file, which is in main, which is in login view controller like this. All right, so this is what we have right now. All right, so this hides the status bar and what have you. Okay. All right, so now we want to use this constraint. Like, remember when we were reducing it to like 60, it was shrinking and growing. So we want, when we touch the text field, once we begin typing, then we're gonna reduce it, so it's gonna slide up. And once we're done typing, then we want to put it back the way it was. So in order to do that, we need to conform to the text field delegate, because we are doing that through the text field. So this is what I'm saying. I want this class to conform to the text field delegate. So you're gonna get the UI text field delegate. UI text field. Okay, so now it conforms to the UI text field delegate, because we need those methods that, once we begin typing or once we end typing, and that's like, defined in the text field delegate. All right, so in order to arrange everything, I'm gonna just make an extension here, and I'm gonna name this I'm gonna say mark. I'm gonna say text field slides up, and I'm gonna make an extension, and the extension is gonna be this class. So I'm just gonna copy it like this so I don't spell it wrong. So I have all the things that has to do with sliding up and down in just one place. All right, so I need three methods. I need once you start editing, so text field did begin editing, I need this one, and I need did end editing, and I need so once you hit the return, I want to end the typing. So I need I think it should return. Yeah, text field should return. All right, so these are three methods I need. So now I'm gonna start manipulating this top constraint. All right, so we have the text fields for the email address and the password, and we're trying to like once the user enters something in the text field, we want to detect that activity. So that's why we conform to this delegate, so that we can get this method, to define what's going to happen when the user starts typing, or when the user stops typing, or when the user hits return. What we want to do is we want to change the values of the top constraints. All right, so I'm going to go back to the main storyboard, and I'm going to select this top constraint. So right now it's 85, and then let's say I can change it to 40 and it goes up. That's not looking good. Let's say I change it to 60 and then it goes up, and then let's say I change it back to 85. Okay, so I'm just gonna change these values, but don't worry about the things like misaligning, because it's like storyboard is like taking time to refresh, stuff like that. So let me just see what happens when I take it back to 40. You can see like that. Let's say I take it back to 85 and it's like that. Okay, so that's good. So let's go back to the login view controller, and once the user starts typing, right, I'm going to say the top constraint and get me the constant. Now I want to change the constant. Now remember, when I got the constant, it showed me that the constant is a CG float. So if I want, whatever I want to assign to the constant has to be a CG float. So that's what this thing here means. The constant is a CG float. So that constant that we were playing with, right? Once the user start typing, I want to change it. I want to change it to 40. And once the user stops typing, I want to say the top constraint, it's constant that is a CG float. I want to say make it back what it was initially, which is 85. And whenever I hit return, then all the text fields should stop, like it should return back. So what I'm saying is this text field right here, this text field should, I'm looking for a method called resign first responder, and I'm gonna say yes, resign first responder. So that's what this method is doing. Alright, so it's actually return that. So yeah, I'm gonna return true. So once we start editing, then it's gonna reduce, and once we're done editing, it's gonna go back to the way it was. And once we press return, once we stop typing and hit done, it should also go back to the way it was, right? So let me just paste this here. Alright, so let's try it. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see what's gonna happen. Is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Alright, so log in, then I have it right here. So whenever I start typing in the email text field, it should go up, right? Because it should reduce. So let's see what happened. I start typing, the keyboard comes up. Wait, what? It's not working. So why is this happening? Why is this happening? Try it again. It's not working, right? Nothing is happening. And if I say, let me just put a print right here and say let me just say started typing, and let me just put a print here to see what happens. And let me say to stop the typing. Stop this double P, right? Okay, don't judge me. Alright, so I'm just gonna stop it, and then I'm gonna try and see if it's gonna make this thing happen, because it seems like it's not running this line. So let's go back to the login and let's check it's not moving, right? So we didn't see this print statement, meaning what? Meaning the text field is not getting the message that we are starting to type and we are stopping to type. So the way Swift works, or the way Apple works in the iOS programming, they use a lot of protocol, something called protocol oriented programming, which is like you have someone will say this is the way this thing should work, or this is the way this thing should behave. And if someone conforms to that protocol, then that person has to define the way, you know, that stuff is going to behave. So we conform to a TextFieldDelegate. So we have to say the way it's going to behave, which is what we did here in all these methods. But who is gonna listen? Who is gonna use this method here? The text field is gonna use the method, the email text fields, right? The email text field. So this is what I'm trying to say. This text field is in this view controller, this file. That's why we have this login view controller here. And this view controller is this file here. We have login view controller, the Swift, and we do have the text field inside. Like if you go here, we're going to see that the email text field is connected and the password text field is connected. but it's not like it doesn't know what's going on. Like it doesn't have any what we call, it's not listening to the activities that is happening inside this view controller. That is, it is not like, let's say, how will I explain this now? So let's say you, when you go for a doctor's checkup, and the doctors have like that what they call the stethoscope, and they put that thing in the ears, and they put it on your body, and they're trying to like listen and diagnose and look for stuff. So let's just say all these views, they have the ability to listen like that to the view controller. So if the view controller is sending any message, they will get that message. So in order to make them put that stethoscope and listen to the view controller, just like the way a doctor would, or a nurse, or whoever, or let's say you're trying to listen to your neighbor's conversation in the next room, like in an apartment, and you take like a glass cup and put on the wall and put your ears in it. That activity you're doing, you are trying to listen to what's going on, and that's what this text field should be doing. It should listen to the conversation or the actions that's going on in this view controller. All right, so too much theory. Okay, so in order to do it, we need to make this text field delegate. We need to set it something called a delegate. We need to say that the delegate of the text field is the view controller. So we have to tell the view controller that you're going to listen to the text field, whatever happens to it. All right, so this is what I'm saying. When you take this email text field and control it like this, and take it to this yellow icon like that, it's going to show you all these things. So you want to say delegate like this. You want to select this delegate. And by doing that, you are making the email text field listen to the view controller. So it's going to like take that, like that stethoscope stuff, and like put it on the view controller and try and listen to anything that's going on. And then we want to do the same thing for the password text field, and then select delegate, right? So if we go to this login view controller and come to this arrow here, this connections inspector, right? You're going to see all the connections, all things that have been connected to the view controller. So just imagine you have like wires connected, and you have like someone listening to someone trying to listen to all the conversation. Let's say the text field is trying to listen to all the code that is going on in the login view controller, that Swift file, and you have all these other things. That's what you have in all this connection inspector. So we have outlets, we have segues, and then we have this delegate, this referencing outlets. So this delegate says that the email text field and the password text field is listening to the view controller for any message that it gets if someone conforms to their protocol. All right, that's that's probably a lot, but let's see what will happen right now that we have the delegate set. So I'm going to run it. And I'm going to select login. And now, if I select it, even if it doesn't move, those print statements, that's this statement that I said right here, this print statement should show, right? So let's see. So you see what happened. It moved, and the print statement printed out here started typing. And let's say I select the second one. You can see printed started typing. So now the text fields are already listening to the view controllers. So what I want to do now is to, let's say, reduce it again. Let me say I reduce it to 30. All right, and then I run it again. Okay, so I'm going to log in. I'm going to start typing, and you see it went all the way up now. So now I can see the login button. Well, so maybe the bar, the navigation, the invisible navigation bar here, and you know, all this thing is like taking, you know, some space. So what I want to do instead is to hide this navigation bar here and see if it's gonna probably go up a little bit. So once we start typing, I'm gonna say navigation controller. I'm gonna say the navigation controller, and I'm gonna say the nav bar inside the navigation controller, and I'm gonna find the property that says is it hidden? Nav bar in the navigation controller, is it hidden? And it's a boolean, right? I wanna say yes, it's hidden. Hide it, right? And once I'm done editing, I should, like, you know, I should not hide it again, like set it to false. So I know there's a navigation controller because there is a navigation controller, that bar right there, the invisible bar, and I'm going to get the nav bar, which is that bar itself, and I'm going to set the property is it hidden to true. So I want to hide it. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I'm going to click login, and I want this thing to disappear, so this thing is going to go away. So if I do like that, there we go. So it went away, right? So maybe I should reduce it a little bit, or maybe increase it a little bit, maybe make it 40. No, not that one. Ctrl Z, Ctrl S, okay. So just going to run it again and select it like that. So now it goes up, and now we can see the login button, and it's not being obstructed. And once I start typing, and once I'm done typing, right, now that keyboard is not supposed to go away. So let me get the keyboard again, and once I hit return, right, it goes away and it comes down, which is what I said here. All right, so that looks good, that looks okay. And what I'm going to do now is just take that gray color away, because, you know, it might be a little bit disturbing, but now it has served its purpose, and, you know, now we understand you know, why this UI view is here, and, you know, understanding that it contains all these things. So I'm just gonna set the color back to white like that, and I'm going to run it one more time. Alright, so I'm going to go to login, and once I start typing, it goes up like that, and once I hit return, it comes back. So that's just basically, you know, simple stuff. So now, you know, you can do the same thing for the sign up, and, you know, once we're done, and, you know, we're gonna move on to the next stuff. All right, I'm getting a little bit hungry. I'm gonna grab myself some snack right now because I've been recording this for like probably 3 hours right now. All right, so just gonna clear up all the print statements, and yeah, it's basically it right now. So the next thing we're gonna do is start doing the same stuff for the sign up. So we're gonna add a UI view to the back, and then do the same thing we did in the login view controller for the sign up, and then we're gonna use the top constraint again to, like, you know, make it move up. You know, so once you're like advanced, you can add like animation, you know, ease, you know, stuff. But right now I don't know a lot of animation right now, but, you know, this just gets the job done. You know, it just gets the job done. All right. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I want to say thank you guys for supporting me, and, you know, I want to say thank you for subscribing. It really means a lot. And I want to say you guys should, you know, stay subscribed. There's still more episodes coming out. I'm gonna try to put out more videos, you know, in this app, and then try to get it done and move on to another app because I have a lot. Alright, so this has been Chili Bean. Make sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next this video. Peace.